Welcome back to Yates American J180 restoration. In this episode, we're going to get all the bearings extracted from the drivetrain components. This is the main drive assembly. This is the main pulley. It has a flat belt that goes up to the cutter head shaft. This bracket mounts on the main casting. There's a couple of roller bearings in here. There's a shaft down in here that we'll remove. And then this is the Reeves drive. I don't think we can disassemble that, but we'll try to service it as best we can. This should just slide off, and there's a couple of roller bearings in there. So we'll pull those out and clean them up. This main pulley is held onto the shaft with 3 bolts. I'll remove them offline here. Well, this shaft appears to be pressed on here, so I'm going to use a gear puller to try to pull it out. Let's see what we'll do. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and remove these needle bearings from the main drive shaft bracket, and I'm able to use the same jaws that I made for removing the bearings from the lower table rollers, and then a simple bridge, and we'll pull them out. Put a little wedge of wood in here just to keep those jaws from drifting together. These needle bearings will clean up real nicely, and we'll be able to reassemble them. And finally, here's the big gear assembly. Got a couple of roller bearings down in here, and then roller bearings down in there. Just likes cleaning up and reassembly. The roller bearings on this big gear sprocket are a little smaller than the ones on that main pulley shaft that we did the other day, but I'm going to be able to use the same puller. Pretty tight. I think it's cracking the wood. Yep, the wood's failing. Well, after I blew out that last bridge, I made another one that's a little more substantial. An obligatory wedge to keep the jaws apart. With these roller bearings removed from this hub, I'm going to turn my attention to these, and I'm tempted to just leave them and clean them in place, but I think I'd rather go ahead and build something to remove them. after that fabrication work, this is what we've got. Now, I won't be able to use these on this side because they won't go down in there. So I'll probably just turn a dowel to fit in there and press it out. Claws, side supports, bridge. Obligatory wedge. And extraction. That's it for the roller bearings. Idler and belt tension pulleys for the big flat belt that goes from the cutter head down to the main pulley on the reeds drive. There's some regular sealed bearings in there. And then this bolt here is pretty tight. I'll have to knock that out. Yeah, a little bit rusty. We'll want to lube that up when we put it back together. Idler pulley bearing is pretty rough. I'm going to see if we can push it out. So this piece of PVC is something from another project I was using to press out and put together bearings. It's probably not optimum, but it'll do. It'll do, pig. It'll do. These bearings off of the shaft from the idler pulley. Yeah, I may have mentioned previously that if you clamp the puller in the vise or something, that'll allow the bearing to spin rather than it going up here at the point. Belt tension pulley assembly. Interesting that these bearings are open on the inside. Maybe I could repack those. It's just that the side that was pressed on with the gear puller the shield is kind of messed up. We'll see. When you're marking parts to remember where they go, it's helpful to have a little drawing of where it is. Pivot shafts for idler wheel. Well, that does it for getting all the bearings out of the drivetrain components. In the next episode, we'll get the bearings out of the in-feed and out-feed drive rolls, and then we'll finally start refurbishing the bearings. We're going to refurb the bearings rather than replacing them on this machine. Thanks again for watching. I hope you come back and keep an eye on our progress. Thanks.